I'd like to call our last speaker, coming from India, my dear friend Krishnan Ganapathy. He's a board member of directors of Apollo Telemedicine Networking Foundation and Apollo Telehealth Services. And he's gonna talk about something very interesting called Technology in Healthcare in 2030, a peep into the future. So as we are ending this session with your talk, Ganapathy, I think that it's very important to finalize this session, the presentations, with this vision of the future. So a peep into the future. The screen is yours. You have to put in the presentation mode. We are seeing many slides at the same time, so I think that you have to click on the first one and make it bigger.
I hope you can see the screen. Thank you, Dr. Thais. I think it's most appropriate that a person representing the most populated country on this planet is having the last word. Of course, 900 seconds is too small a time to talk about the effect of space exploration on healthcare in the most populated country in the world. I'm going to start with a little historical background.
Ganapathy, you need to click on your first slide and make it bigger. It is not in the presentation mode. We can see many slides, but not. We need to see them individually.
If you go on the left-hand side of your screen, you see that TV monitor. Just click that one, sir.
No, I know. That's what I've done.
Now we are almost there, but we still see the next slide that's coming. But I think this is better still.
No. Sorry about that. I don't know why it's slide control.
You'll have to change the viewer display.
Is it the second?
The second one, display settings, that says, the one in the middle, display settings. You change that
on the top, display settings at the top.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it shows show
task bar. The next one. The next display settings. Yeah.
Swap presenter view and slideshow. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know why it. Mother. Slide control. Oh hell.
That's it. Yeah, perfect.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Bill Clinton, when he visited India on 2000, when the world hardly knew about VSAT, we commissioned the world's first VSAT-enabled village hospital with Indian Space Research Organization doing a pilot project. After several years later, the Pan-African E-Network, which was a baby of Abdul Kalam, the then president of India, we did provide teleconsultations using satellites for the entire African Union for almost 10 years. Unfortunately, though technically feasible, because of administrative and perhaps political reasons, the project had to be discontinued. As early as 2002, we were using space technology. Internet was not that available in India at that time. And then we were using VSATs, mainly satellites launched by ISRO, for huge mega gatherings like this. Some of the world's largest festivals here, 120 million devotees gather over a period of 2 weeks. And here again, we use VSAT-enabled mobile hospital on wheels to ensure public health was provided for them. 20 years ago, VSAT-enabled hospital on wheels was started. I was involved with this. Philips did this as a CSR project. And today we have at least 100 mobile medical units fully equipped in the interior with a minor OT, with ultrasound, X-ray, a microbiology laboratory, and so on and so forth, going to the remotest part of India where terrestrial communication is still not that easily available. At least 10,000 teleconsultations are given every day using this hospital on wheels. I do agree that no area on earth is comparable to the isolation and to the what you encounter in outer space. Nevertheless, I'm going to give you a few illustrative examples to show how using state-of-the-art technology, many of which is an offshoot of space exploration, may not be from ISRO, but certainly from NASA, European Space Agency, and so on. We started this project 8 years ago. Several papers have been published, chapters written in textbooks. And today, I'm very happy that 8 years later, we have provided consultation to more than 18,000 people at a height of 14,500 feet in the Himalayas. For 5 months in a year, the temperature is minus 30 degrees centigrade. Snowstorms, hailstorms, landslides, etc. makes this one of the most uninhabitable areas on Earth. We run a 24/7 tele-emergency service, and we have treated about 45 patients with impending myocardial infarction. The first ECG was normal. 30 minutes later, because my doctors felt that they were not looking all right, we repeated the ECG, picked up a myocardial infarction as it was evolving, and initiated thrombolysis. This is possibly the world's largest public-private partnership using, again, VSATs. I have 35 ophthalmologists in the city where I live, Chennai, which is about 350 kilometers away from the neighboring state. And you can see on this slide, yes, it is not a typographical error. This is real-time data as just yesterday. Until yesterday, we had seen a treated 2.8 million patients. Multiply that by 2, 5.6 million eyes were evaluated from distances of 150 to 300 kilometers by 30 ophthalmologists who are nowhere where the patient is. And this is all updated in real time. You can see we have done 1 million fundus examinations. Nowhere in the world, to the best of my knowledge, is a computer-generated color annotated report digitally signed by an retinal specialist, not just an ophthalmologist, is given to the patient within 20 minutes of his coming to a center in the remotest part of the particular state. Now, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, this is an offshoot of superb telecommunications using satellite technology. I'm very happy that this project, which we just started a few months ago in one of the remotest parts of India, one of the smallest states of India called Meghalaya, near the northeastern India, near the Chinese border, sponsored by the World Economic Forum and the National Health Mission. There are 5 cancers which we are screening. We are screening almost 10%, 20%, sorry, of the entire population of the state, 1.4 million people, using smart AI-powered handheld devices. Point-of-care diagnostics is now not just blood chemistry, but also for imaging studies. On the lower left-hand side, you see some of the tools which we are using and a few cases of cancer which we have picked up using all this technology. Needless to say, these photographs are sent instantaneously, both through internet and through VSAT, to my medical, surgical, radiation oncologist, and within 25 minutes, a report is given, and if necessary, most of the case it's necessary, the patient is sent to a tertiary care center. Now, just look at this technology. This technology is a direct offshoot of NASA. NASA has published this several years ago, and I think this was approved by the FDA and by the European Commission hardly 2 years ago. Again, a CSR project by Fuji Films, and you can see this totally portable X-ray. It weighs just 3.5 kilos, and it is so user-friendly that anybody can be trained to use this in just a couple of weeks. On the lower left-hand side, you see a bag. It's like a big backpack. You take this. No longer does the patient go to a hospital from rural India. Most parts of rural India, the doctor goes to the patient, the laboratory goes to the patient, the hospital goes to the patient. We are just starting this project, and we intend to screen at least 60,000 X-rays. We are going to take chest X-rays, and you can see a digital X-ray on a laptop instantaneously through teleradiology software sent to a radiologist, and my radiologist will report it and send it back. Gone are the days when India used to test sputum for the TB bacillus. Of course, we still do it. I'm not saying no, but more and more centers like the one here, we use very sophisticated state-of-the-art PCR. The COVID ensured that we became experts in PCR, polymerase chain reaction, and today using a World Health Organization approved test called TrueNat, we are able to identify the DNA of the AFB, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is actually causing tuberculosis. Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 5 years, 10 years maximum, India, like we eradicated polio 2 decades ago, we think that in the next 10 years, we will be wiping tuberculosis off Indian geography. At least this is what we're going to aim at. We are not doing this just for rural India. We are also doing this in intensive care units. And I was very thrilled when one of the leading textbooks in the world, North American Critical Clinics of North America, asked us to write a chapter on how we are using telemedicine to expand access to critical care around the world. You can see here more than 500 digital health projects have been funded through the Department of Biotechnology. I have just selected a few. Every one of them are offshoot of space technology. We have a VR, virtual reality simulator for acute cardiac life support. We have a smart pill dispenser. One of the previous speakers was talking about pharmacy in space. We are also now working on the poly pill, where we would like to incorporate the pill for diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, and so on and so forth in a single tablet. So immunization data, all this is an offshoot indirectly. These are the products which have actually gone to market. Again, the work of ISRO has been a great stimulus for all of us, and particularly the COVID, we became self-dependent. Today, not only has imports reduced, but more important, we are not talking of make in India, we are talking of make in India for the world. So this is what is happening now. Now just look at this, a direct offshoot of space technology. Imagine somebody in outer space. Imagine an astronaut getting an infected wound. The possibility is not zero. Of course, he may not get a wound as badly infected as this. But even then, to do a culture sensitivity, to find out the organism, to do an antibiogram, to find out which antibiotic, even then it will take 12 to 24 hours. However, this project, funded again by the government of India, is in the final stages of clinical evaluation. All that they do is to shine a light from light sources, ultraviolet, visible, infrared, near infrared light, and this captures multispectral images within 60 seconds. This reflected light gives comprehensive information about wound infection, tissue oxygenation in less than 300 seconds. The entire duration of imaging is 1 minute. I am confident that in the next 5 years, we will see this being clinically validated, tested, repeated, and I believe that microbiology laboratories at present doing culture sensitivity will slowly fade into oblivion. 5G, India is certainly not going to be left behind in 5G. The hospital where I work in, Apollo Hospitals, we now have 5 ambulances, 5G fitted with onboard cameras. Reminds me of Netflix movies, reminds me of the cops who have body cams. Today, my paramedic staff have body cams connected to ultra-fast connectivity and patient monitoring applications. The treatment starts at the pickup point. Pre-hospital management using the most sophisticated communication technology has already started. One of the things which space engineering has brought about is bringing engineering to life. Many of you may be aware of the IITs, the Indian Institute of Technology. I understand that 18 to 25% of the scientists in NASA are all people of Indian origin, and 75% of Google's employees obviously have all come from the IITs. To me, it's a matter of great pride that the IITs have now started schools of medical science and technology. Most of the big IITs have already started building hospitals, healthcare institutions, and in the next 3 years, the Indian Institute of Science, which is the only Indian university ranked among the top 100 in the world, is starting an MD PhD program of 7 years duration. 4 years ago, I never in my wildest dreams, I don't know how I started it. I'm very grateful to Professor Thais Rusomono for not only contributing an article, but for putting me in touch with several people. We brought out an entire issue called extraterrestrial neurosciences. Looking back, even though it was only 4 years ago, I do not know how the editor permitted me to bring out this special issue. But today, as you can see on the lower right-hand side, the access statistics, most of these articles have been viewed 6,000, 8,000, 7,000 times, and every one of them has been quoted at least 30 to 40 times. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is India bringing out a special issue on extraterrestrial neurosciences. Unfortunately, the COVID has delayed. It has not cancelled. It has just delayed. And the Gaganyaan mission, more than 500 industries are involved in the launch of India's first space station by 2030. Maybe it will take another 2 years. But just a few months ago, the Prime Minister of India signed an agreement with the President of the United States. The first Indian astronaut is going to be on board the ISS. Now, why am I talking about all this? What has it got to do with healthcare? How does that affect me, a neurosurgeon, a clinician, a doctor treating patients? Yes, it affects us because now everything has become made in India. For the Gaganyaan astronauts, the Defense Food Research Laboratory in the last 3 years have now finalized the food items which are going to be eaten in microgravity when our astronauts are in low Earth orbit for almost a week or so. So this is what is really happening. Now, this is, of course, a summary from the literature. You are all experts, so I'm not competent to talk about this, excepting to state that 235 astronauts from 18 countries have participated in healthcare projects at the ISS. We are all aware of ventilators which were developed. 31 licenses were awarded to 100 applicants, making it the most licensed NASA technology. And this is all from the literature. The top 10 medical breakthroughs directly attributed to space technology, image-guided autonomous robot, mammograms. I understand that the mammogram of today is totally different from the mammogram which used to be taken even 5 years ago. And this again is a direct result of space technology. Now, coming back to India, I am absolutely thrilled that just 30 kilometers from where I am sitting right now, Indian scientists, I stay very close to the ISRO's main center of tracking. Right now, scientists are trying to wake up the lander's rover, Pragyan, which I understand is now at a temperature of minus 250 degrees centigrade. In the next 10 to 12 hours, when the 14 days of the Earth's the moon's night is over, the temperature may increase up to minus 25. We will know in another 18 hours from now whether ISRO has succeeded in waking up the sleeping rover which they have deliberately put to sleep. If it succeeds, it is going to be absolutely amazing. From minus 250 degrees centigrade, they are going to reactivate something at minus 20. Even if we don't succeed, the lessons we have learned are going to be so much that it is just a question of postponing the success. It does not require a genius to say that it is just a question of time before one extrapolates the fundamental knowledge of communications or working under such tremendous conditions to healthcare on the surface of the Earth. There are several places in the world which certainly are also equally uninhabitable. I was amazed to find that a company from the United States has already advertising about the first telemedicine company on Mars. Maybe it is meant as a joke, but nevertheless, this is what is happening. Scheduled departure July 2026. Future Mars mission and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, extraterrestrial healthcare. I think it was Dr. Thais who mentioned at the very beginning that in the next 10 to 15 years, we are going to talk of space tourism. We are going to talk of people leaving the earth for business, for pleasure, and so on and so forth. And these people are not going to be as fit as astronauts. Again, this was a news item which came in the media just a few days ago. Just look at this. It costs less than 300,000 US dollars, totally made in India. And this consists of 72 cubes. They are able to set up an operation theater within 15 minutes. Piece by piece, it can be sent by big drones. A helicopter, a military helicopter can take the entire hospital, set it up within 1 hour, and this is capable of treating almost 200 survivors in a disaster for 48 hours. Totally indigenous Indian technology at a cost of less than 5% of what it costs in Western countries. I don't expect you to read this, but just to tell you that India already has 136 functioning satellites of its own now. Of course, they have launched another 200 odd satellites for at least 30 different countries. An exclusive health sat, EduSat is already in orbit. Health sat has been in the offing for many years. For various reasons, it has been postponed, but I'm sure in the next 2 to 3 years, we will be launching a dedicated health sat. I am very conscious of time, and I would like to go on and on, but I think I will stop with this and just recapitulate what Charles Darwin said. He said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one that is most responsive to change." On the right-hand side, you would have seen this 2-month-old baby crying. And now just watch. Why is this child crying? When I was a medical student, when I was a postgraduate, I was taught you can see the cry has stopped completely. I was taught the reason for a baby like this crying was because the baby was hungry, required mother's milk, or had passed urine. The diapers had to be changed. Of course, there were no diapers at that time, but nevertheless. But this, you see, ladies and gentlemen, is how a baby born in India in 2023 behaves. This is a double-blind, randomized, controlled, crossover study. The child is absolutely happy. When the phone is taken away, the child once again starts crying. So this is the new India. A baby born is already started being inculcated into the digital world, which is how this baby is going to live. So I think it's been a wonderful experience, and I'm very confident that in my lifetime, I am going to see the most dramatic activities going on, not only in India, but in Africa, in Europe, in most other countries. Thank you once again to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share with you a few of my thoughts.
Thank you very much, Ganapathy. I love the video in the end. I can understand the baby. Very nice. Thank you very much. A question for Ganapathy then, because I'm sure that you have heard this question many times in your life, as at least I heard something similar to that, because I'm originally from Brazil, and then Brazil is a developing nation. So how does an emerging economy like India justify investing in space? And India is doing very well. Everybody knows about the wonderful achievement, very recent, with the moon landing, and all the other plans that are coming very soon, about the astronauts being sent to ISS and so on. So how do the government and the scientific community justify this investment?
Thank you for that. This is always a controversial topic. There is a group of people, both in India and outside India, who feel that when there is still a problem of supplying adequate drinking water, adequate toilets to a significant percentage of the population, how can you set apart money to land Chandrayaan-3 and to study the sun? But the last couple of weeks, what we have aspired has been totally transformed the country. I would say we have now reached a different level The confidence level of the average citizen of this country has increased an all-time high. Our aspirations have become much more. And I think the most important thing is we are now confident. I'm not talking of me as an example. I'm talking of the so-called man on the street who does not necessarily have a formal university education and things like that. Today, we are absolutely confident. If 500 scientists or 600 scientists, none of whom, I repeat, none of whom have had formal education in the so-called Ivy League universities of the United States or UK or Europe. None of them. They're all totally made in India products. If they can land on the soft side of the moon, on the south pole of the moon, at 7% of the cost which NASA incurred for similar expenses, every one of us now have said we can do it. It's only a question of how badly we want to do it. So I think this is the greatest achievement which investment in space has made. Directly speaking, there are a lot of offshoots because satellite technology, I understand that some Indian companies like Reliance, etc., are going to launch hundreds of satellites like Elon Musk. It is not Elon Musk alone a private company who's going to launch thousands of satellites. There are Indian companies which are on the verge. Maybe in the next couple of years, will be launching hundreds of satellites. And I'm sure that in my lifetime, I'm going to see dependence on Western satellites becoming less and less. So most of us now feel that what the government has done in promoting space technology is the correct thing to do. The other interesting part is, you know what are unicorns? A startup company with more than $1 billion. I understand more than 15% of the world's unicorns, that is to become a unicorn within 1 year and get funding for $1 billion US, are from India, and a good percentage of this is from space technology, space sciences, etc.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think that this session helps to put together, you know, all these investment or these achievements that we have in space exploration, and how they can be somehow they can benefit the terrestrial health on Earth and other areas even, you know, and also contribute for the improvement of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So I think that in many moments it was very clear, you know, that this connection really exists.